Hello, hello. Welcome to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vihos. Today we are diving into the Delphi case. Not quite sure where I'm going with this. So we'll see what you guys have to say first, and then I'll take you into what I've been looking at recently. That I've covered. This is really the only case that I've covered in depth, but I've spoken with a lot of people who have covered other cases like Maura Murray, Summer Wells, and they're just as bad, if not worse. And a lot of this stuff that's going on with the Delphi case. You guys need to take personal responsibility. You guys are the ones that are creating the hype by sticking your nose into everything. Good to see you, Ziggy. CJK, what up, Metal Mama? What up? What up? Another hot day. Yeah, I went out to the park to make sure all my equipment was working. I had 3 cameras running. I had a drone, and it was literally circling me. But one of my cameras, because of the heat, actually shut off. So that's good to know. Going out to Glendale on Sunday to do some filming for a documentary I'm doing on the Benjamin Anderson case. For those of you wondering. What's up, James Tate? Welcome in. TJ, happy Friday. He's looking a little too fit in that photo. Well, you can thank AI. What's up, Super Sleuthy? Don Spain, my guy Don, what up? What's up, Dank Buds? CJK, how you doing? Patricia? Jill Moser in the building. Gambies, what's up? Julia, where you been? No, this is not a call-in. But I do have one planned. I have an open panel planned. Cindy, hello. She Warrior. D, what's up, D? Amelia. I appreciate that. Sherry Wilson, welcome in. So today we're diving into Abby and Libby's case. I'm not going to tell you where I'm going with this today because it is off the wall. You know, kind of a dark path, really. Sometimes these ideas, they just hit me. And then I end up down this rabbit hole and I don't know how to get out. I didn't leave any breadcrumbs. Sherry, yes, maybe close to Karen Reed debacle. But I don't know. I think it's different with Karen Reed. I feel like there's a lot of reasonable doubt. With Richard Allen, I don't know. Because my opinion, the unspent bullet evidence is really good. If they can prove that it was cycled through his gun. But we haven't seen those results. So, but with Karen, that she had a lot of support right from the beginning. And I don't know if she's guilty or innocent, but I don't think they can prove it, right? I think it's a little different. So you got your new drone. Hell yeah, I got that new drone. Thing is badass. It was windy as shit today. And I got some new mic covers. So I tested it all out because I'm going to be doing some interviews Sunday, hopefully with the lead investigator, a local reporter, and Ben's best friend. So I've been talking with Ben's friend Daniel. He seems like a really cool guy. So hopefully I can get like a private StreamYard meeting with him. Unless he wants to meet me out on the scene, that would be really cool. That'd be on some professional shit right there, talking to Daniel as we kind of walk on scene. But whatever he's comfortable with. Daisy, how you doing? Oh, you know what I just realized? I do not have any water. There's a little bit in that bottle and a little bit in this bottle. We'll see how long that lasts me before I have to go grab a water bottle. CJK. Hey, I was thinking about Fig today because I wrote a comment on Becky Patty's Facebook and I deleted it. I was like, nah, I can't post that. I don't want to be cussing on her on her Facebook. And then the next day I see a notification to my Facebook. It's like Fig has commented on Becky Patty's Facebook, and it was literally not exactly what I was gonna say, but pretty much, right? And I was like, man, this motherfucker's in my head. So yeah, I thought about him today. That's funny. That third eye, that intuition. Picking up the signals out there. Sweating balls. Yeah, it was hot. I felt like I was going to pass out. Like, think about it. It's so hot that you have a camera that just shuts down, like in less than 10 minutes. That should not be possible. Have I been in the rabbit holes? I live in the rabbit holes. You nearly adopted the rabbit hole. I was born to it. I love that song, Farmer. Take me to the river. Drop me in the water. And then they made that stupid fish. Fucking ruined that song for me. Christine, how are you doing? You're in the hospital. First time I've been able to. I can't wait to get out of here. What's going on? Are you okay? Super Sleuthy, any updates on Delphi? Yeah, they tried to get rid of Gull again. That didn't work. So, I mean, I don't know how many other options they have, but yep, the pineal gland. The walnut. Good to see you, Daisy. Other than legal proceedings, is there much of anything that's new with this case within the past month or two? I've been MIA. I need to catch up. No, not much. I have some new theories today. Well, not new theories, just new ideas. Maybe I guess they're more questions than anything. But I'll bring that up here in just a second. I want to hear what you guys have to say first. I don't know, Sherry. The other cameras worked fine. It was really windy and the drone didn't even flinch. This guy's all, what news station are you with? I said, Sleuth Intuition. And then he laughed and said, "Oh, you're public access then, huh?" Just kidding. YouTube is the new public access, I think. Good to see you, Daisy. No goal, not going anywhere. Nope, she ain't moving. Audra, what's up? I am late. No, you are not. We are still shooting the shit. Jody, hello. Yeah, if public access was still around, I'd totally be on that shit. I remember when I was a little kid watching Alex Jones on public access. This shit was crazy. Like, what the hell? Well, it was a rebroadcast of Alex Jones. Some old guy would just put in a VHS, and then he had a camcorder on a TV, and he would play that. Hey, what up, Fiend? Hope you're having a good weekend. Nope, nobody's late yet. Julia says, I love healthy speculation and good conversation, keeping it respectful as always, but it helps to get your brain working. Why? I think I got a good one for you guys. And I'm a little bit, I would say I'm half ignorant on it. But like I said, we'll get into that in a minute. I don't want to spoil all of your thoughts just yet. Yeah, locals making content. It was pretty cool. Everybody fighting for like the prime time spot. This is Prosecutor McClelland's first murder trial and double homicide at that. As a prosecutor, he's been an attorney for quite some time. That's how you become a prosecutor. Last time I checked. CJK says, Fiend, it's surprising that you thought the recent Murder Sheet podcast were a big nothing burger. It was. It was a big nothing burger. But still, it's news, right? It's newsworthy. Don't get me wrong, but it is a nothing burger. To me, because I already knew all of that. Been warning you guys for how long? So I won't say a nothing burger. It's just wasn't news to me. Okay, so let's get into what I was thinking about here. So let me pull up this photo. So a couple thoughts here. So what if the sticks are meaningless, right? But the way the girls were positioned, what if that is the signature? The sticks are secondary. They're just there out of a panic. The killer or killers, what if they were leaving a message with the way they place these bodies? So in your mind, remove these sticks and let's just focus on the positioning of Abby and Libby. You know, we talk about the hangman and those tarot cards, but what I'm seeing is like more hermetic mysticism type stuff, like Wiccan, dark magic. And Wiccans believe in that pre-Christian European stuff too. They use runes. binding runes. They use runes in black magic. So when you look at the placement of the bodies this way, it itself looks like a rune. So remove the sticks. Not an Odinism rune or Asatru rune, but a Wiccan rune. Or should I say commonly used in the Wicca religion for dark magic. And the Hermetic stuff would be the as above, so below, right? Let me share this with you guys. So just some things that I've been reading. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. And then I'll put it on the screen. Okay, 8-time nomads. Rune Magic 101. What are and how to make bind runes? So those who are starting their path in rune and magic usually feel a bit lost when it comes to bind runes and how to make them. Bind runes are one of the two types combined runes, and they are two or more runes bound together. So are we seeing that here? So we're trying to compare what we're seeing to Odinism and, Asatru and things like that. What if we're half right? What if the defense is half right? Good to see you, Shadowbox. And Lisette. If the bodies are positioned as tarot figures, and it doesn't have to be tarot. As above, so below doesn't have to be connected to a tarot, but I'll continue on. The sticks could complete symbols such as various crosses or other religious symbols. That's what I'm trying to say. Fiend says somebody should find out if Rick Allen is an Odinite. He doesn't have to be. What if he practices Wicca? He's a Wiccan, or he's just interested in the dark arts. And potentially the sticks can be meaningless. Let's remove those sticks. And we still have a possible signature there or a message. You have as above, so below. And the way that Abby is positioned with her elbows out looks more like a rune than any of the sticks do. Especially the way they positioned her legs with the knee out like this. 100% could be. So in your mind, and I should have taken the time to get rid of these sticks, but in your mind, remove them. Focus on the placement. Because the killers could have intended for the positioning of the bodies to be the message. And then later on, after hearing people crossing the bridge and doing all this weird stuff, then they decided to cover them to buy some time. And then when investigators get there, they remove the sticks and then they see this message. Anna says, I could mean something or nothing. I still absolutely reject Odinism. Yeah, this isn't going to be an Odinism stream. That's what I'm saying. We could be making a mistake with that. But just because the sticks aren't runes doesn't mean that the girls weren't placed or positioned to represent that in some way. Or it's just not Odinism, but it's a Wiccan situation. So let me continue on. These symbols are pretty rare in Viking Age inscriptions, and in most cases, they simply displayed the name of the carver or served as an ornamental piece. Their use as magical amulets continued later in Iceland. We can find examples of bind runes in medieval manuscripts around the 1600s. For example, famous Icelandic staves and Galtrastifer, such as the Vegvisur and Helm of Awe, are combinations of runes with magical purposes. Nowadays, bind runes are gaining some popularity again, and many people use them as sigils, or amulets, and to cast spells, right? Casting spells. So maybe we're not dealing with some Odinist group or Odinism, or we could be. Maybe we're dealing with a killer or killers who are using runes, but are maybe they're more of practicing Wicca and just utilizing runes and practicing black magic and like hermetic, using hermetic symbolism and things like that. By combining different runes, you are asking the gods for a result, good or bad, for you or another person. I don't know, Farmer. I don't know enough about KA. Abby's position could also equal collateral damage, literally. Literally. Crazy eyes look loud. She does have crazy eyes. She's probably going through it, though, you know what I mean? Some of these things were mentioned a long time ago, but no one is sure of a message or if there is a message. I haven't heard anybody talk about just the positioning of the bodies outside of the whole tarot thing. Cheeks, I've always thought Abby's body was because they carried her. So did I. I still do. That's why I said this is going to be more of a question. You know, it would make sense that her arms were that way because she was carried, and also would explain why there was a shoe and something underneath her legs because she was dragged over the top of it. And everybody was wondering, well, why didn't Richard Allen take the phone? Because most likely Libby put her phone in her shoe, ran with it, and then when Richard Allen was staging the crime scene, he pulled Abby over the top of some of her clothing, which included her shoe and phone, and he couldn't find it. I don't see any biker connection. That's a good point. I totally forgot about that, Anna. Anna says the Delphi case has been compared to the Stevenson case in Kentucky, which is not far away at all. The sheriff on that case has consulted Wiccans and other pagans. Yeah, I forgot about that. They left pentagrams at the Stevenson crime scene. They used a marker and they drew pentagrams on some of the photographs. No, farmer. She was laughing. She was it seemed like she was a little tipsy. You know, it's Thanksgiving. She probably had a couple wines and she was being silly. And then it sounded like the bird might have hit the window or something. And she got a jump scare. Then she started laughing at that. Thank you, Shadow. I was like, seagulls? What do you got, a flock of seagull? Flock of seagulls over here. Anna says, or if KK was involved, maybe he arranged the crime scene so his photos would appeal to a certain group of his customers. Or there was a customer on the phone. Remember, I told you guys about a story out of Italy. They were using the Yubo app and they had a person that they were torturing and killing on live stream. And they had customers who were able to watch it. They could pay and they had gained access to a link, would bring up the live stream. And if you clicked on a secondary link, it gave you an actual option to pay a higher amount of money. And then you can make requests from the perpetrator, this person who was torturing folks. You could literally call in and make the request. There's transactions of over $10,000. And you can't tell me it doesn't happen in the United States because you guys all know about the Schillmiller case. Schillmiller catfished somebody just like Keegan Kline, convinced her to hurt her own family members. And once he realized he had total control over her, he convinced her to film a snuff, live stream it to him while he was on the phone and watching it by video. She killed her best friend because some catfish convinced her that he was a rich old man who was going to send her $1 million. And they did it live. And he was telling her what to do. He was saying, duct tape her, now stab her, now do this, now do that. Well, what we're looking at here, Sherry, is considered dark magic. Binding runes are dark magic. There are many ways to classify these magical symbols. Here are the 2 bind rune types based on their shape. Linear, which at the same time can be divided into 2 other types. Stacked, right? And this kind of reminds me of Abby's leg. God rest her soul. Kind of reminds me of the way it's bent. Runes that share the same axis. In spells, they are used to manifest a reality. Right? The motivation. Maybe Richard Allen is a practicing Wiccan. And he's conducting a black magic ritual to manifest a reality. Maybe even minus the sticks. Maybe the sticks are pointless, are meaningless. And it's the positioning of the bodies, or all of the above. We keep trying to compare it to Asatru or, Odinism. Maybe there's a reason that some are convinced that it is runes and some aren't. Because our point of reference has always been this whole Odinism angle. And that can be half true. Yeah, and not only individual groups, but individuals themselves. Maybe not even Richard Allen, maybe the person he was with. If he was with another individual or multiple individuals, they're going to want to take advantage of what just happened. All right, we just committed the ultimate sin. We need to take advantage of this, and we're going to do all this ritual stuff. And then we're going to video it or take photographs of it. Radial or stave. We can find some examples of this type of bind runes in Icelandic staves. Galdristifer, each rune or combination of runes stems from a common center point. And it is very possible that these sticks were moved after the fact on their own, possibly the body's moving, animals nudging them. So it's possible that these sticks right here at one point were maybe centered. We just don't know. Defense spells or amulets are the perfect candidates for this kind of design. How to make bind runes. The most crucial step in this process, and most often what deters beginners the most, is to study the runes and understand their individual meanings first. We have to be careful with what runes we mix together and pay attention to the hidden characters that might appear in the final design, as they can affect the general purpose of the spell. Pay attention to the hidden characters. Is that like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm interpreting that. Let's continue on. At the same time, don't be so afraid that you feel completely paralyzed. The best way to learn is by taking the first step and practice as much as possible. Start with the simple 2-rune sigil for a short-term goal, and try to analyze the bind runes made by others until you understand them. There are many runic alphabets to choose from, but if you are a beginner, the most common to start is the Elder Futhurk. Let me see if I can download this. Nope. Bear with me a moment. All right. I had to screen grab this so that we could kind of zoom in on it. So if you're a beginner, they recommend starting with this here. Nothing's really standing out. Except this one, the TWAS thing. Success in a competition, warrior strength. This kind of looks like they try to position her almost like she's pointing, like an arrow. Richard Allen is involved with the Italians. No, the Italians are just an example. Remember, they asked if anybody knew anything about the Yubo app and Anthony Shots. Well, there's a case out of Italy of people using the Yubo app to live stream murders where people can watch the live stream. And if they wanted to control what happened to the victim, they could hit a link and pay a large sum of money and make a recommendation of what they wanted the killer to do to the victim that they're torturing. So I was just giving you an example. Usually when people say, hope you can read this. Badass Mary says, I wrote a statement in 2022 about how my ex was involved in Delphi, how he is in a cult. Well, you wouldn't be the first person who told me they thought their husband or ex was involved in Delphi. What kind of cult was it? Does it sound like any of this kind of stuff we're talking about here? Let's see. What do you want to achieve? Before you start picking any runes, do some visualization work. Think about the goal of your spell and what steps you would need to take to achieve it. Once this is clear, the next step will be easier. And the thing about Richard Allen, if he's already admitting to kidnapping the girls and killing them and covering their bodies, remember, he's confessed to medical staff that it was a sexually motivated crime and he killed them because he was afraid that they would tell on him. That's what he told medical staff. So if he's admitting to that, what that tells me right there is that it's only half of the truth. Or maybe only part. Think or read about each rune and its meaning and select those that fit your purpose the best. Whether this is in your first bind rune or you are a seasoned rune caster, it is better to not overcomplicate things. Limit your choices to 2 or 3, 5 at most. This can be the most difficult step as some runes have ambiguous meanings, so study different resources and take your time. Time to create your design. Pick up a pen and paper and start drawing as many combinations as you can. Don't worry too much about it being right or wrong. At this point, let your imagination fly and draw everything that comes to your mind. Hey, Jennifer, what's up? Chris, good to see you. What I want to know is why the trial isn't until October. Because it's been pushed back. It would have been over and done with if Richard Allen's defense team wasn't pulling all of these pre-trial stunts. Their strategy was to taint the jury pool for the next trial, which they probably won't even be part of. So that may not even be true. We'll scratch that from the record. They wanted to create chaos and delay in hopes that they could get Richard Allen off on a technicality. That's what they've been trying to do this entire time. All right, let's go to another article here that I was reading. It says maybe we should turn back. So this is completely different. This is Wiccan black magic with the use of stick hexes. And they kind of talk about a few movies like The Blair Witch Project, True Detective. You know, that's where a lot of people first saw these stick hexes. Goat Dog, good to see you. If you ignore the sticks and just look at the bodies, looks like the hanged man right side up. However, in some tarot decks, the fool is pictured in the hangman's pose, but right side up. That's interesting. I think it's possible. I mean, I just don't understand. They're not talking about DNA, right? They're not charging Richard Allen with, I don't know, the charges are a little bit weird. You know, there was no discussion about, I just feel like if they thought Richard Allen physically used a knife to kill these girls, they would expect to have some kind of DNA at the scene or found at Richard Allen's home or in his vehicle. And the first thing that happened when they arrested Richard Allen is they sealed the probable cause affidavit, and they were acting and they wouldn't shut up about other people involved. And they had the US Marshals on the stage and not the FBI. Something's up. That's all I can say. And there could be people that we trust, information that coming from people that we trust, which is used as countermeasures. They don't want happening with they don't want what happened to Richard Allen and the unspent shell, the way that information was leaked. They don't want that happening with anything else. So I still believe they think there are others involved. Oh, I remember you, badass Mary. You were talking about the cell tower simulator. I didn't know what the hell that was. What's up, Periwinkle? Says no, the sticks are not pointless. I didn't say that they were. Yeah, it is interesting. Jennifer says, or maybe it's not him at all, and it really is a witch. Maybe Richard Allen is a witch. We don't know anything about him. Badass says it's acid true. Libertas. Yeah, as above, so below. Just like the Baphomet. What were your charges? Is that what you were charged with? I see you're in court today because you said it was a cult and who the real bridge guy was. Sending you to jail. Anna says the tarot hangman's feet and legs make a sort of swastika. Added sticks could indicate other kinds of crosses or even Shiro? Cairo? Chiro? Common Christian symbol. For instance, sticks on A's chest. Yeah, that's true, Goat Dog. I always thought it represented Lucifer, the light bearer, the morning star. Law enforcement still investigating possible links between Delphi and the Stevenson case. There is the mysterious item that figures in both cases. Well, what if that's the knife? In Wiccan, there's a ceremonial knife. So maybe that's the connection. You know, certain type of knife, certain type of dagger. And maybe this individual that they questioned in Indiana had a ceremonial Wiccan blade. What do you mean they did it to you? What did they do to you? You know what they did with the sticks. Well, why don't you tell us? That's why we're here. And good to see you, Goat Dog. Good to see you, Vertigo. What's up? Anna says another question would be, does the crime scene look like it was created by a group or by one psychotic offender who had extreme fantasies? What about two psychotic offenders, Richard Allen being possibly the lesser of two evils, could explain the unspent casing found, an altercation between two perpetrators? One of them decided to conduct a ritual or leave a signature or whatever, decided he wanted to stage the crime scene and leave a signature for whatever reason. Hey, what's up, Jamie? Good to see you. Audra, how are you? Do these runes have any meaning to you? These ones here? No. I don't believe that these are runes. I don't know what they could be, though. They could have been much more organized. Bodies do move after the individual has passed. What do carved symbols have anything to do with anything? We still haven't even identified not one symbol. The only thing that actually looks like a symbol are the bodies. Abby and Libby, the way they're positioned. Because I don't know if any of you have made a campfire. If you grab a handful of sticks and throw it down on the ground, that's what they're going to look like. Looks totally random. Yeah, he could be, Anna. He could be. But he may not be. There's something else. There's a big piece that we're missing. I believe Mary. I'm just not convinced it has anything to do with the Delphi case. We know a lot of people who are carving runes and who actually practice asatru. So we know that it exists. We know that people practice it. We know that people are carving symbols in trees. Question is, what does that have to do with the Delphi case? Thank you, Farmer. Amazon art where the person is making their own tarot deck and depictions using pagan iconography. Yeah, that was one of the things we first noticed after the leak, the crime scene leak. And we started learning about the positioning of the bodies. Of course, was the as above, so below, and the hangman, which we know was used in the. Is it the La Bianca murders? The Tate and La Bianca murders. They literally hung their victim up by a rope and positioned the body as the hangman. They tied it in that to look exactly like that tarot card. But they actually hung this person up in the home. They didn't lay them down on the ground. I don't know, Goat Dog. I talked to a few different experts, and I could be wrong, but they disagree. They said that the tarot has nothing to do with that. I argued with it, but that's what they told me. Okay, let's get going on here. Part 1, Secret Paths and Magic Alphabets. When arriving at the scene, Marty Hart and Rust Cole walk down the path between the cane fields of rural Vermilion Parish, Louisiana. Smoke still settles to their right as another officer lifts the crime scene tape. The two encounter a strange and horrific sight. The body of a nude woman crowned with antlers. So for those of you who have seen the crime scene photos, I have not. I myself have not. But there's an argument. There's an argument between this group of people who has actually seen the crime scene photos. The defense wants us to believe that there was antlers placed over Abby's head. And here, the body of a nude woman crowned with antlers, tied to a tree in a position of prayer. Just beyond her, we are shown a small structure of bound sticks, which adds an element of hermetic symbolism to the dark occult nature of the setting. As the camera pans around the scene, it reveals a dozen more of these sculptures, darting the ground and hanging from the tree, demarcating the dark sacred space. So what if this is unfinished? What if these are the sticks that they were getting ready to kind of tie together, but they were interrupted? What if this is an unfinished message? Anna says a number of Delphi locals have believed the crime and the scene were done by a dangerous group. Well, I don't know how many of those Delphians actually seen the crime scene. I know only probably a handful, and I'm pretty sure they're not going around talking about it. So they would most likely have just as much knowledge as us. Anna says, I can see Richard Allen peripherally involved, maybe thinking he's playing a prank. Others did the worst, and Richard Allen's mind is messed up with the partial knowledge that could explain a lot. Yeah. He could be the lesser of the evil, and he's being charged as such. They made a big deal about sealing the PCA. Why? Well, they told us because they felt others are involved. They didn't want to jeopardize the case. Now we're finding out that there's a ton of information that hasn't been made public. That's interesting, Goat Dog. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, that's what Goat Dog was saying. How bog bodies. What's a bog body? Were left in ancient Europe. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. Thanks for sending me the email, Mary. Well, Fiend, Halloween was Libby's favorite holiday. Was her favorite holiday. So that might have something to do with it. Asatru is like Odinism. Yeah, she sent me an email. I'll get back to her. What's up, Sam? Of the motifs of contemporary horror that I refer to as stick hexes have a haunting familiarity. Hold on, this is let me enlarge this. Have a haunting familiarity with that is unmatched by few other visual cues, appearing famously in series such as True Detective and the Blair Witch franchise of films. They often mark spaces of dark practices. More recently, stick hexes have made their way into album artwork, such as Mirker and Ouija Dude have converted runic influenced logos into bound stick forms. While these structures seem familiar, are there actual analogs in folk belief systems, or are they purely cinematic invention? The act of making simple structures out of found branches and twigs is part of childhood play in many wooded and rural communities. Traditional crafts and building techniques such as coppice wood furniture and wattle and daub structures also strike visual similarities. Part of the eeriness of such constructions is their ability to blend into nature, for them to seem both man made and natural in the same instance. They can integrate into their surroundings, marking space, but potentially going unnoticed, like a tangle of branches and vines that one might encounter on a walk in the woods. That's interesting, considering that they apparently searched out there and they went unnoticed. Thank you, badass. I got it. If any of the esoteric stuff has any message, I think the meaning is found with the bodies and their positions. I think so too. You know, if not all of it, I think it definitely starts there. Because he would have had to position the bodies before placing the sticks anyway. Right? Most likely. CJK, all of this is so bizarre because of one vile, wicked man. Maybe one, could be two. Farmer, I always make a TP type structure, then put smaller kindling in the middle. Yeah, that's that Boy Scout way. Nowadays, I build a trench that goes like a X, and then I'll just put small kindling right on the middle of that X so that the air will go underneath it. This says, those are not runes. What are not runes? Maybe you're just joining late. Are the bodies not runes, positioned as runes? Or are the sticks not runes? Or all of the above? One of the clearest analogs between stick hexes and something from real life practice is trail markings. Before the system of trailblazes and plastic markers that is common today, paths were often marked with natural materials found locally to the site. Many scouting guides published systems of marking trails in this method. A similar system made its way into UK popular culture through depiction of a Roma community in a novel Five Go to Mystery More, 1954, from the famous Five series, and its later television adaptation in 1978 and 1996. So I think I have this already screenshotted. Let me pull that up. So these are considered trail signs. I mean, this is eerily similar. It's like a little totem right here. Chromacy, the casting of lots as a form of divination, is also a possible connection. While a whole range of objects have been used in chromancy, God, I can't talk today. There is a long tradition of using sticks and bones. Tacitus wrote an early ethnographic account of the practice in his Germania 98 AD, chapter 10. A little bow is lopped off a fruit bearing tree and cut into small pieces. These are distinguished by certain marks and thrown carelessly and at random over a white garment. In public questions, the priest of a particular state; in private, the father of the family invokes the gods, and with his eyes towards heaven, takes up each piece 3 times and finds in them a meaning according to the mark previously impressed on them. Wow. That's interesting. These are distinguished by certain marks and thrown carelessly and at random over a white garment. That's more of what I'm seeing here. Sticks thrown carelessly. You guys hang tight for a second. I need to get some water. Alrighty, I'm back. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. Oh yeah, there's a lot of beavers there too, near the crime scene. In all the photos, you can kind of see where they've been chomping on the trees. Yeah, Cindy, that's what investigators try to teach us. There's the shock value, there's the message that they're trying to send, or they're trying to mislead. So yeah, he could have been trying to make it look like runes or like a ritual or like a Wiccan Blair Witch type thing, when really it wasn't. Okay, a little bow is lopped off a fruit-bearing tree and cut into small pieces. These are distinguished by certain marks and thrown carelessly and at random over a white garment. In public questions, the priest of the particular state; in private, the father of the family invokes the gods and with his eyes towards heaven takes up each piece 3 times and finds in them a meaning according to the mark previously impressed on them. Beyond trail markings and divination, there are tangential relationships to other folk practices, echoes of corn dollies and voodoo dolls. We've seen voodoo dolls brought up quite a bit. Can be seen in the Twanais stickmen. I might not be saying that right. Stickmen of the Blair Witch franchise. Production designer Ben Rock has stated that director Daniel Myrick had suggested something in line with voodoo dolls appearing in the woods during the development of the film. As part of pre-production, Rock, largely working on props alone, realized he needed something more simplified in order to produce objects in mass. While researching markings to use in the development of other scenes, Rock found his solution. On page 79 of Nigel Pennick's Magical Alphabets, he discovered an illustration of what the author described as a rune man. The motif found in timber frame construction was a simple design of 4 linear elements. What's up, Brandon? Mother of Dragons, good to see you. So they stay together? Well, this description I'm quoting is from a website, Arneson Art, where the artist is creating their own tarot deck using the imagery and lore from their own pagan Norse beliefs. It's basically a bespoke. Hey, Hiawatha. Welcome in, Keith. Will be a plea deal at the last minute. Richard Allen will talk at the last minute. Yeah, he's definitely going to make a plea. I'm hoping sooner than later. So I don't know if his defense team played that last card, but once they do, that's when we'll see the plea. Yeah, I don't know what any of that is, Goat. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they were kind of making a V shape. Anna? I agree with that. I think it is possible. I just don't think we're looking at just straight like Asatru or Odinism. I think we're looking at something that's associated with it. And Wiccan is. Wiccan is associated with all of that. With the antlers too. If it's true, some people argue that there are no antlers. And some will swear by it. If there are, we're hearing stories here in some of these rituals where they place antlers. Not Nodinism, not Nasatru, but here with this Wiccan black magic and Hermetic symbolism. Oh, that sounds terrible, Don. Maybe. Wow, that's interesting. Kind of reminds me of that scene also from The Devil's Advocate. He's like throwing down nails or something. He's just throwing like a handful of nails or bones or something on the table. And however, he's like casting a spell or something. It's weird. That's what that reminded me of when I read that. And it was talking about throwing those sticks down just in random. That's what the crime scene looks like to me here. These don't look like runes to me. This looks like sticks that were thrown at random, which it probably was. But why are the girls looking so strange? I can totally see this being natural, though, you know. Abby, she was moved. They say the girls were moved and staged. I don't think that Libby was moved at all. I think only Abby was moved. And that's why her arms look this way. That's why she's in the position that she's in. And I believe that Libby, after being struck, fell after leaning on the tree, touching her wound. It was quick, like a minute or two, and she just fell. And that's how she fell. Right there is how they found her. So even though I think there is no meaning, it doesn't mean that there isn't. Just because I think that, I'm not going to close the book and say, okay, that's it. Not when they're telling us there's another killer that's out there. It's a good question. We know he likes to eat his own poop. While it didn't initially seem to elicit excitement from the crew, what would go on to be referred to as stickmen or twanas, might not be saying that right, became the visual icon for the film's mythology, carried across 3 feature-length films and related media projects. Interesting. All right, guys, tell me what you think. Pretty much out of time here. Yeah, that's the thing, Don. There's no information on him. And the contacts that I made of people that actually grew up with him, they tell me he's a quiet, and this is more than one person. 2 people have told me this. 2 people that are completely unaware that I'm talking to the other. They both went to school with him. One actually drove with him to school every day. So to people that know him, probably know who I'm talking about. Says he's the quietest person they've ever met. Didn't say a word ever. Why not? Was he going through something? He might have some secrets that we don't know about. his own demons. And him being quiet makes me think that if he does have demons, all of this is up in his head. He's living in his head. 100% fantasy driven. Living out a whole different life in his mind. Just kind of coasting along through life, but in his mind, there's something else going on. And I got the same vibes a little bit from Keegan Kline. Road Dog 47. BG would be a scary character if you've seen him walking the roads on Halloween. What do you mean? What's up, Brad? Good evening. Good to see you. That's interesting, Farmer. Says, answering Go Dog. If he felt the heat was on, and if he is guilty, not sure how he couldn't, he probably laid low or tried to correct his behavior, although that's not possible. Yeah, and we don't know. He could have had all kinds of bad behavior going on that we didn't know about. He could have been being very careful. Bitrolf said that he started killing because he told himself if it just got bad enough, maybe he could stop. So he was all the prostitution and all this bad stuff that he was doing. If he just did something so bad that was just so awful that he would have to quit. It didn't happen that way. It got worse. See, that makes a lot of sense to me. That could explain why he's, he could be motivated not to talk, to drag things out as long as possible. So the same motivation that got him involved in the crime is what's motivating him to keep his mouth shut now, which would be his family. And if he's this quiet CVS worker, sounds like that's all he has. He doesn't want to lose that. I don't know. I just don't see any similarities between Flora and Delphi, unless Richard Allen's responsible for Flora, and that was his gateway crime. We know arson is a gateway. I mean, never know. So Richard Allen's daughter moved out in September and said, "Hey, I'm getting married. And by the way, I'm moving out. I'm moving in with my fiance." Moved out in September of 2016. Floor fires happened in November of 2016. Gateway crime. Gets away with it. I just don't see any connection. There's just so many people that were in the Flora home. It leaves so many different angles of motivation and who was the target, you know. I don't see any indication that the 4 girls were specifically targeted. They could have been. There's just no way for me to know that. There was a whole group of people in that home. I think there was different renters and everything. There was also a child predator who owned a pizza shop right across the street who was arrested for molesting a 12-year-old girl. One of the Flora girls was 12. So he could have been keeping that quiet. MF Witchy Widow, what's up? Welcome in. The Saint, good to see you. Steven, how are you? Yeah, we're getting ready to get out of here, guys. What do you think the one domino is? Is that Richard Allen finally admitting it? All right, guys. Motion detected in the front yard. That's my cue. Got to go take care of some things, get some food in my belly. I'm sure I'll see you guys on these YouTube streets here in a little bit. It is Friday, so I want to thank everybody for joining me. And I know that justice will come eventually for Abby and Libby. I just hope that the truth comes out as well. Because there's definitely a darkness involved in this case. That's why we're all drawn to it. You know, Delphi is haunted right now, and there's a reason for it. It's not just an anomaly. There's something special going on with this case, and Abby and Libby are trying to tell us something. I just don't know what it is. Whatever they're trying to tell us, there's an evil influence out there that's trying to cloud their message. And once we get through that fodder, or once Richard Allen breaks, hopefully the truth will be revealed. Until then, you guys be safe, and I'll see you later. Take care.